Have you ever been cut out of your own family's perfect picture? Picture this, a 200-foot yacht slicing through crystal blue oceans, sunlight glinting off its polished deck. Laughter, clinking champagne glasses, tailored suits. That's my family's annual cruise, a tradition to flaunt status and success. But this year, at 33, I got a text that hit like a slap. This cruise is for successful family members only. Does it sting? Damn right. What they don't know, that floating mansion, the symbol of luxury they're parading, it's mine. I own that yacht, and this story is how I turned their scorn into a moment that left them speechless. I grew up in Connecticut, where reputation and money were the only measures of worth. My family, the Parkers, lived for the glow of perfection. My dad, a real estate tycoon, always said, "If no one knows your name, you're nobody." My mom, a maestro of high society galas, could silence a room with a glance. And me, the youngest, forever scrambling to fit their mold. I went to an Ivy League school, wore designer dresses, smiled for family photos. But no matter how hard I tried, I was always the girl who's not quite enough. They never said it outright, but their looks, their sly remarks, they screamed I didn't belong. This isn't just about a yacht. It's about being sidelined by the people you love most and rising, not to prove them wrong, but to prove you're right, true to yourself. Stick with me, because the moment I step onto that ship as its owner is when everything shifts. Ready to see my family's world crumble when they learn the truth? / growing up in Connecticut, I lived in a world where everything was measured by money and reputation. The Parkers, my family, were the epitome of perfection. My dad built a real estate empire, each deal a reminder. Your name is everything. My mom, with her lavish galas, would have left any Texas town in awe if they'd visited. My siblings? Shining stars, a high-profile lawyer, a life-saving doctor, and my eldest brother gearing up for a Senate run. And me, the youngest, always scrambling to prove I belonged. I went to an Ivy League school, wore designer dresses, flashed bright smiles in family photos. But no matter how hard I tried, Mom's gaze stayed cold, like I was a spare part. Dad only paused to ask, "What have you done for the Parker name?" I wasn't just overlooked, I was invisible. I spent my youth forcing myself into their mold. I worked out to exhaustion, not for health, but to look perfect by Mom's standards. I learned to speak and move like a high society lady, just to dodge their disappointed shrugs. But every step forward, my family pushed me further away. "Try harder," Mom said, as if I'd never be enough. I started believing I wasn't worthy, that I'd always be a shadow in their glamorous tale. Yet deep inside, a faint spark whispered I could be more. Being sidelined by my own family cut deeper every day. I recall evenings in my room, hearing laughter from the living room where the family plotted the Parker legacy's future. I wasn't invited. I tried to belong, studied hard, joined charity events, even shelved my dreams to please them. But all I got were veiled jabs. "Don't embarrass us." I felt like a bit player in the family's movie, always cut from the main scenes. The worst part? I began doubting myself, wondering if I truly wasn't good enough. Then it hit me. I didn't have to follow their script. That inner spark started to blaze. I knew I had to break free from the cage of reputation they'd built around me. This story doesn't end with a forgotten girl. It takes you to San Diego, where I ditched the fake glamour and started forging my own empire. Want to know how I turned pain into power? Follow me, because this is when I stopped chasing and started leading. / One day, I realized living to please my family was like running on a treadmill that never stops. I was exhausted trying to be the Parker-approved version of myself, a finance-suited girl, working on Wall Street, flaunting the family name. At 25, I had a dream job at a New York investment firm, but every day, I felt like a puppet on strings. I wasn't happy. I wasn't me. So, I did what no one in my family expected. I quit. I packed up my glamorous life, left the skyscrapers, and moved to San Diego, starting from scratch, scrubbing boat decks and serving guests at a small marina. My family? They thought I'd lost it. Mom called it a quarter-life crisis. Dad sent a one-line email, "Don't disgrace the Parker name." My siblings snickered, dubbing me the boat play girl. But I didn't care. For the first time, I tasted freedom. In San Diego, no one knew or cared about the Parker name. I learned to tie ropes, fix boat engines, and listen to guest stories. Each day at the marina, I felt more alive, stronger. I wasn't my family's shadow anymore. I was finding my own light. Freedom wasn't easy, though. The marina job paid peanuts, and I lived in a tiny apartment, far from the mansions my family flaunted on Instagram. Some nights, I wondered if I'd screwed up by ditching everything. Family pressure lingered, Mom's calls, voice dripping with disappointment. "What are you doing with your life?" But those moments forged me. I started watching the wealthy, yacht guests, how they spent, how they chased luxury. I saw it. The yacht industry wasn't just boats, it was selling dreams. With my Ivy League finance know-how, I sketched a bold plan: build a luxury yacht charter company. San Diego was where I learned to stand. Every callus on my hands, every grueling workday, was a step out of the cage my family locked me in. I didn't tell them what I was doing, not out of fear, but because I wanted my actions to speak. Want to know how a deck-scrubbing girl became an empire's owner? Stay with me, because this story's hitting a new chapter, where I build everything from nothing. / in San Diego, I wasn't just scrubbing decks or tying ropes, I was learning to run a world. The marina was my real education. I watched everything. How captains maneuvered 100-foot yachts like a dance, how crew anticipated guests' needs before they spoke, how wealthy clients dropped tens of thousands for a day at sea. They weren't buying a boat ride, they were buying power, luxury, Instagram-perfect moments. I saw the yacht industry was a gold mine, and I had something no one else at the docks did: Ivy League finance know-how. I started taking notes, crunching numbers, dreaming big, not to please my family, but to build something of my own. I worked days, studied nights. I researched markets, learned boat maintenance, even snuck into online business courses from a dingy coffee shop. After 2 years, I had a plan: start a luxury yacht charter company for the richest from Texas to California. I took a small loan, drained my savings, and bought my first yacht, an old fixer-upper, but I saw its potential. I named it Freedom, because that's what I felt standing on its deck. Building an empire wasn't a Hollywood montage. Some days, I worked 18 hours, wrenching boats until I collapsed, or begged banks for loan extensions. My first client canceled last minute, and I cried in the cabin, thinking I'd failed. But I didn't quit. I learned to negotiate with suppliers, hired the best crew, crafted experiences no one else could match. My company, Parker Luxury Charters, took off. Within 3 years, I owned 3 yachts, serving millionaires from Houston to San Francisco. Each contract was a step, each happy client a brick in my dream. I didn't tell my family, not because I feared their mockery, but because I wanted this moment for me. They still thought I was the marina girl, and I let them. Deep down, I knew I was making history. Want to know how I kept the secret while quietly building an empire? Follow me to Florida, where my company explodes, and I gear up for a showdown my family will never forget. / as Parker Luxury Charter soared, I moved headquarters to Florida, the haven for yachts and millionaire clients. In 4 years, I owned a fleet of 5 vessels, from 100-foot cruisers to a 200-foot luxury beast, serving CEOs, Hollywood stars, and Texas billionaires itching to flaunt. Revenue skyrocketed, and my company's name started popping up in high-end travel magazines. But I kept it under wraps. No Instagram posts, no boastful calls to Connecticut. I let my family think I was still the marina girl. Why? For the first time, I didn't need their validation. My success was mine, not a prop for the Parker name. I lived quietly, worked relentlessly. Days were spent meeting clients, signing contracts, ensuring every trip was flawless. Nights, I studied team management, cost optimization, market expansion. I wasn't the nervous girl from San Diego anymore. I was a CEO, a leader, and I loved every second of this grind. But when Mom called, her voice still dripped with disappointment. "When are you going to do something real?" I just smiled through the phone, guarding the empire I'd built. Keeping the secret wasn't easy. Sometimes, I wanted to scream at my family, "I'm not a failure." But I chose silence, not from fear, but to let the truth hit them undeniably. Florida was where I grew, not just in business but in soul. I learned to forgive myself for ever doubting my worth and to love the real me, not the version my family wanted. Each yacht in my fleet was a reminder. I'd freed myself from the Parker legacy's cage. Then, a text from Mom changed everything. It wasn't just a rejection, it was a declaration of war. I knew it was time to step into the light, not to brag, but to reclaim my place. Want to know how I turned pain into a jaw-dropping reveal? Follow me, because the moment I board my own yacht as its owner is when everything changes forever. / I built an empire in Florida, owning a fleet of yachts serving elites from Houston to Hollywood, but to my family, I'm still the marina girl. I'm used to their jabs, their disappointed glances, but nothing prepared me for that text. One morning, as I'm checking boat schedules in my office, my phone lights up. A message from Mom. "Don't come to this year's cruise. It's for successful family members only." 13 words. 13 stabs to the heart. I sit there, staring at the screen, feeling like the world's caving in. Shocked? Damn right. Heartbroken? Like salt in an old wound. Surprised? Not entirely. Deep down, I always knew I'd never be enough for them. I grit my coffee, hands trembling, fighting back tears. I've worked myself to the bone, turning dreams into reality, but to my family, I'm a failure. That text isn't just a rejection, it's a declaration of war. They didn't just uninvite me, they erased who I am. But then, through the pain, a spark ignites. I don't need to prove anything to them anymore. I built my own world, and the yacht they're flaunting? It's mine. For the first time, I don't feel like a victim. I feel like the one holding the cards. I stand, walk to my office balcony, and gaze at Florida's harbor, where my fleet's docked. Each yacht is proof of sleepless nights, self-doubt, and victories I earned without the Parker spotlight. Mom's text hurts, but it also wakes something in me, a fire not just to survive, but to blaze. I'm not replying with words. No, I'll answer with action. I'll show them I don't just belong on that ship. I own it. I don't need their invite, because I'm the one sending them. That realization hits like a surge of electricity. I'm not the quivering Connecticut girl desperate to please my family anymore. I'm a CEO, a leader, ready to step into the light. Want to know how I turned pain into a plan that'll leave my family stunned? Stay with me, because this is when I decide to board my own yacht, not as a guest, but as its owner. / Mom's text was a fuse, but instead of letting it blow me up, I decided to use it as fuel. I called Mia, my college best friend and Parker Luxury Charter's marketing director. I spilled everything. Mom's message, how my family cut me from the cruise, the yacht I own. Mia laughed, not mockingly, but the kind of laugh that spots a golden opportunity. Why not show up as the owner? Let them see how wrong they are, she said. The idea hit like lightning. Not revenge through anger, but through truth. The truth that I'd built an empire they didn't know about, and the yacht they're flaunting is my triumph's emblem. We started scheming. Mia, with her marketing genius, pitched a reveal to shatter their egos. I joined the cruise, not as a petted guest, but as the CEO of Parker Luxury Charters. We checked the schedule. My family booked my 200-foot yacht, clueless it's mine. Mia grinned. Have the captain introduce you. Leave them speechless. My heart raced, not from fear, but excitement. This wasn't just a moment. It was a declaration. I don't need their approval. Our plan was airtight. I contacted the captain, someone I trust completely, and told him to keep it hush. I'd arrive on departure day, as my family sipped champagne, bragging about their success. Mia helped pick my outfit, a sleek, commanding look fit for a yacht industry CEO. She smirked. You'll shut them down, from Connecticut to Texas. I rehearsed my walk, my words, so when I face my family, I'm not the girl who trembled under Mom's gaze. I'm the one in control, and they'll see it. Every detail was calculated. I pictured Dad, always boasting the Parker name, stunned. Mom, who never praised me. How would she react? For the first time, I didn't fear their eyes. I was ready to confront, not to apologize, but to reclaim my place. Want to know the moment I board the yacht and leave my family speechless? Stay with me, because this is when it all explodes, and I take the lead in the story. / the day has come. I stand at the Florida dock, gazing at the 200-foot yacht, Parker Luxury Charter's pride, and my stage for the moment I've awaited. I'm in a tailored white outfit, designed for the yachting world, radiating power and confidence. My heart pounds, but not from fear. I'm ready. As I step onto the deck, the air freezes. My family's laughing, champagne glasses sparkling under the Texas sun, bragging about their successful members-only cruise. Then the captain, with a subtle smile, announces loudly, "Welcome, Miss Parker, owner of the fleet." The world goes silent. Mom drops her glass. Dad, always in control, freezes. My siblings' jaws drop, like they've seen a ghost. I smile, not a smug grin, but one of someone who knows their worth. I lock eyes with Mom, who once said I wasn't enough, and say, "Welcome to my yacht." No jab, no sneer can touch me now. I'm not just a guest. I own everything here, from the ship to this moment. My family, who once pushed me aside, now faces the truth. I've soared beyond their wildest dreams for me. That moment hits like a symphony's crescendo. I walk across the deck, each step a declaration. My brother, the Senate hopeful, mumbles something about a mistake. My sister, ever haughty, tries to stay composed, but her hands shake. I don't need to yell or argue. My presence alone silences them. The captain, as rehearsed, escorts me to the owner's seat, where I stand overlooking my family. No more pitying glances, no more veiled slights. For the first time, they see me as a leader, not the Parker family shadow. I didn't come to shame them, but to reclaim my story. This moment is just the start. Tonight's dinner will settle the score, where I'm not only the yacht's owner, but the one forcing my family to face reality. Want to know how I make them rethink me forever? Stay with me, because this is when true power shifts. / dinner on the yacht begins, and for the first time, I sit at the head of the table, a spot once reserved for Dad, who always steered every Parker family talk. The lavish room glows with warm golden light, plates of Texas lobster and fine wine on display, but the air's thick, like a storm's brewing. My family, who once saw me as a shadow, sits uneasy, fidgeting. Mom, the master of perfect smiles, nervously swirls her wine, hiding her nerves. Dad, face rigid, eyes me like I'm a puzzle he can't crack. My siblings mumble, tossing weak jokes to lighten the mood, but each word falls flat. I don't need to shout or boast. My calm, the way I steer the conversation with the CEO's poise, leaves them defenseless. I ask my brother about his Senate campaign, suggesting a media strategy Mia pitched, and he just nods, not daring to interrupt. I talk to my sister about medicine, mentioning doctor clients on my yachts, and she forces a stiff smile. For the first time, they can't shoot me pitying looks. I'm not just the yacht's owner. I'm commanding this moment, and they know it. With every passing second, I feel power shift. My family, who measured success by fame and cash, now faces the truth. I've outgrown their mold. Mom tries steering talk to a Connecticut gala, but I smoothly pivot, sharing how Parker Luxury Charters just inked a deal with a Houston billionaire. The table goes quiet, only the sound of waves outside. I don't need to prove anything. My presence, my confidence, says it all. Dad, who rarely praises, eyes me with a flicker of surprise, like he's seeing me for the first time. But this isn't about gloating. I want them to see success isn't what they forced on me, it's the path I chose. This dinner's just the start. A bigger test looms, where I'll show I'm not just a CEO, but a true leader. Want to know how I make my family face reality in a real storm? Stay with me, because this is when it gets unforgettable. // dinner wraps up, and the sky outside turns black. A sudden storm hits, waves slamming the yacht's hull, rocking the 200-foot vessel like a toy. Wind howls through the windows, lightning ripping the darkness. My family, always picture perfect, unravels. Mom clutches Dad's hand, voice trembling. Are we safe? My brother, usually cocky, leaps up, yelling for the captain. My sister, ever haughty, hugs our cousin, eyes wide with fear. The yacht's no longer a luxe party, it's a survival test. But me? I feel a strange calm. This is my world, and I know what to do. I stand, voice clear, radioing the captain. Check systems, reduce speed, steer to safe waters. I direct the crew with the precision of someone who's lived at sea for years. My family stares, stunned. No more pitying glances or jabs. For the first time, they see I'm not the fragile Connecticut girl, but a real leader, guiding the ship through a storm, literal and figurative. I'm not just Parker Luxury Charters owner. I'm who they need right now. Every move I make is calculated. I sync with the captain, check radar, study the crew with confidence honed in San Diego. The storm isn't just nature's challenge. It's my chance to show my family the real me. Dad, who rarely admits fault, eyes me with a new look, like he's rediscovering the daughter he overlooked. Mom, still clinging to her poise, can't hide her awe as I take charge. My siblings fall silent, no more jokes or boasts. They see me standing tall amid the chaos, unshaken. Sure, a version they never knew existed. This storm doesn't just shake the yacht, it shakes their assumptions about me. I don't need apologies or validation. I've proven my worth. But the story doesn't end here. This moment opens a deeper conversation, where masks start to fall. Want to know how my family faces the truth about me and themselves? Stay with me, because this is when things get rawer than ever. // the storm has passed, but the turmoil in my family hasn't settled. In the yacht's lounge, under dim lights, Mom calls me for a private talk. She, always a statue of perfection, looks fragile now. With a trembling voice, she admits, I've spent my life controlling everything, reputation, image, even you kids. I was terrified of failure, of people pitying the Parkers. Her words crack the mask she's worn for years. She looks at me, eyes red, and says, I was wrong to think you weren't enough. You've done things I never dared dream. For the first time, I see Mom not as the controller, but as a woman caged by her own pressures. Dad joins, listening quietly. He, who put the Parker name above all, meets my gaze with a different look. You didn't need this name to succeed, he says, voice low but firm. You build it all yourself. It's not an apology, but for Dad, it's the biggest acknowledgement. I don't cry, but my heart feels lighter. They're starting to see me, not the failure, but the one who forged Parker Luxury Charters from nothing, from San Diego to Florida, serving Texas billionaires. This moment isn't just about me. It's about the truth my family must face. Mom, who once sidelined me fearing I'd shame the Parkers, now owns her fears. Dad, rarely emotional, begins to respect my path, not for fame, but for its truth. I don't need their apologies. I want them to see success isn't Connecticut galas or headlines. It's living true to yourself. I did that, and now they're starting to get it. But this story doesn't stop with me and my parents. It ripples, touching younger family members trapped in the same cage I broke free from. Want to know how my journey inspires my brother and cousin to chase their own paths? Stay with me, because this is when real change kicks off, not just for me, but for the whole Parker clan. The storm is past, but what happened on the yacht changed the Parkers forever. After my talk with Mom and Dad, I realized my journey wasn't just about proving myself, it inspired others. The next morning, my cousin Lily, 19, found me. She, pushed into finance to uphold the family name, had eyes sparkling as she shared her dream of marine conservation. "You made me think," Lily said. "I don't want to live in the cage Mom and Dad chose. I want to do something meaningful like you." Hearing her, I saw myself a decade ago, a girl craving freedom but scared to break the mold. Lily wasn't alone. My brother Ethan, always chasing the lawyer path Dad laid out, started questioning. After seeing me steer the yacht through the storm, he texted, "Sis, I want to learn about yachting. Any starting point?" I smiled, not because he wanted to join me, but because he dared to dream his own dream. The change wasn't loud. It was quiet, like ripples on the sea, but real. My family, once obsessed with reputation, began respecting different paths. These shifts didn't happen overnight, but they proved the power of living true. Lily ditched her finance internship and signed up for a marine conservation program in Florida. Ethan started reading yachting books, even asking how Parker Luxury Charters runs. I didn't push them to follow me, I showed them they could choose. Watching them, I realized my journey wasn't just escaping the Parker cage, it was opening doors for others. Every step Lily and Ethan take reminds me, I didn't just change my life, I planted seeds for the family. But this story doesn't end on the yacht. It leads to a quiet moment where I face myself and find true peace. Want to know how I stood on the deck, staring at the horizon, grasping what real success means? Stay with me, because this is when it all becomes clear, not just for me, but for all of us. The morning sun rises over the Florida sea, and I stand alone on the yacht's deck, feeling the salty breeze whip through my hair. Golden light stretches across the water, a reminder that the storm, both out there and inside me, has passed. I look down at Parker Luxury Charters fleet, ships I built from San Diego's deck scrubbing days, and realize this journey wasn't just about owning an empire. It was about reclaiming myself. I was once the trembling Connecticut girl, shrinking under my family's gaze, desperate to fit the Parker mold. Now, I stand here, needing no fame, no validation, just knowing I've lived true to my heart. Success I see now isn't glitzy galas or headlines. It's the peace of looking in the mirror and loving who you see. I went from doubting myself to steering a yacht through a storm, from being cast out by family to inspiring my brother and cousin. Every scar, every sleepless night, is part of me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. On this deck, I know I found my own definition of success, one no one can steal. This moment is mine, but it's also a nudge for anyone told they're not enough. I think of young folks in Texas, Florida, or anywhere fighting others' expectations. My path from San Diego to the ship proves you can carve your own way. My family once saw me as a failure, but now they look at me with respect, not because I followed their script, but because I wrote my own. Standing here, see ahead, I feel free, not just from the Parkers, but from the doubts that once caged me. But the story doesn't end. My family sees me now, and they want me to lead them in a new way. Want to know how I step into the role of guiding, not just on this yacht, but in the Parker family's future? Stay with me, because this is when a new beginning dawns, not just for me, but for all of us. On the final day aboard the yacht, my family gathers on the deck, watching the sun set off Florida's coast. Gone is the tension, the pitying glances. In their place, a new connection, as if the storm swept away invisible walls between us. Dad, rarely soft-spoken, steps forward, placing a hand on my shoulder. "Same time next year?" he asks, voice warm, eyes full of respect. I nod, heart pounding, not from pressure, but because, for the first time, I truly belong. Mom, who once cut me from the trip, smiles, a real smile, not her camera-perfect one. "But this time," she says, "you'll send the invites." Her words aren't just a quip, they're an acknowledgement I'm no longer the Parker family shadow. I'm a leader, not just of Parker Luxury Charters, but of our family in a new way. My siblings, who once mocked me, now ask about my company, my San Diego startup days. Cousin Lily and brother Ethan share their dreams, unafraid of judgment. My family, once obsessed with reputation, is learning to value what's real, and I open that door. Standing among them, I realize I didn't just change how they see me, I changed how they see themselves. This moment crowns the journey I began scrubbing decks in San Diego. I once thought I needed the Parker name to be loved, but now I know true love comes from authenticity. My family doesn't want me to lead because I own the yacht, but because they see me, the real me, scars and triumphs. As the sun dips, I gaze at the sea, Thinking of young folks in Texas, Florida, anywhere, fighting to find their path. If I could stand here from a sideline girl to family leader, anyone can. My journey proves. You don't need others' approval to shine. But this story isn't just mine. It's for all of us who've been told our paths aren't worthy. Want to know how I call others to share their stories and why this journey touches thousands? Stay with me, because this is when I invite you in, not just as a viewer, but as part of the story. // My journey started with a text cutting me out of my own family, but it ended with me standing on my yacht, leading not just the ship, but the people who once doubted me. From scrubbing decks in San Diego to owning Parker luxury charters in Florida, I learned one thing. Success isn't what others force on you. It's when you rise, face the mockery, and define your own path. Have you ever had to do that? Ever had to redefine success your way, despite skeptical looks from family, friends, or society? I know you've got a story, and I want to hear it. Think of the moment you broke the mold, like I did ditching Wall Street for my yachting dream. Or when you stood firm through a storm, like me commanding the ship under my family's stunned gazes. Those stories, yours, mine, are sparks that inspire. If you've been told your path isn't worthy, share it in the comments. I read every one, and I'm here to remind you, you're not alone. Your journey matters, whether it starts in a small Texas town or a Florida street corner. This story isn't just about me or the Parkers. It's about all of us, young folks in Texas, everywhere, fighting to be themselves. If my journey touched your heart, hit like, subscribe, and join me in spreading real stories. We don't need fame or others' approval to shine. We just need to dare to live true, dream big, and tell our tales. I turned a hurtful text into a yachting empire, and you've got the power to turn challenges into triumphs too. Drop your story in the comments. It might light a fire for someone in Houston, Austin, or beyond, daring them to walk their own path. And if you want more stories like this, tales of rising, redefining, winning, stay with me. Your story could be the next one we tell. Ready to share? I'm waiting, and the world is too. //